Hey, everybody, welcome to day 5 of Chronic Pain Reboot, where we are redefining pain and realigning life. And today we are going to be talking about movement myths, and I am going to be answering all of your questions. I have written a bunch down on my phone with the help of my beautiful helpers, Nancy and Rebecca. Oh my gosh, you guys, I could not do this workshop without you, so thank you. And we're going to do the little bit of housekeeping. Turn off your phone, kick your kids out of the room. I had somebody ask me where the cats were yesterday, and I don't want to disturb them right now, but I did take a picture. The cats are in here, right there. They're literally on the bed right next to me. My office is also a guest room, but yeah. So the new baby is completely sacked out next to Oliver, who, some of you have actually been around long enough to maybe remember this, but if I move this way, yeah. So you see where Figment, my super special popcorn holder is? Friends of mine got him from Disney World because I love him. But there used to be a hamster cage there, and I had a very teeny tiny hamster that lived in it. And when Oliver was a kitten, he liked to climb into the cage with the hamster. He was not harming the hamster, but he wanted to free him and like let him run around the house like he did. So I'm like blabbling away on pain and stuff, and Rebecca's like, aim, the cat is in the hamster cage. And it was amusing. Nobody was harmed. Cat and hamster were fine, but woo, that was quite the day. I had to stop talking to go rescue the hamster. It was pretty funny. But now he's just a big lazy old man and happily sits there. Okay, today is the last day of homework, and there are like 5 or 6 of you that have done the homework every day. So do the homework one more time, and then tomorrow at 11:30, I will either be on live or I will have recorded a video and posted at 11:30, and we're going to see who wins the 50% off to the Moving Beyond Pain. So thank you for those of you that have participated. There has been last night's post was phenomenal. There are so many happy bite ideas. I'm so excited to compile them. It may take me a hot second. Hello, Miss Melanie. But I hope that you have had fun this week, and we're not done. I was telling my VIPers that I go to a lot of these for business stuff, because while I love coaching and I'm super good with the people end, like the marketing and the email and like how all of the technology works, I'm like, I hate it. And no, yeah, I hate it because I'm not very good at it. And like, I just want to give you guys things that you need. Like, I just want to give you guys things that you need. That's what I want. But usually once the people open their programs, like they stop saying anything helpful. And I'm like, hey, there's still more to learn. Like, I get your programs open, but like, I feel like you left me hanging. So because of that, that is why I developed today to give you information about movement, because, you know, most of us need that. And there's a ton of myths. Like, I'm so sorry. There's so many myths out there about like pain and and movement. There's more of them. There is a guide. Like, so if you're on a desktop, at the top, it says like members and guides and events and things like that. Hit guide and go down. I forget what number it is because I reorder them all the time, but it's on movement. And there's like 9 blog posts all about movement. And if you just like read them in order, it will tell you like all of the things that you need to know. And movement myths are part of that. For those of you that are like, hey, I think I'm going to DIY this, I have like 105 blog posts over at restoringvenus.com right now. And it's not quite ready yet, but like you can go poke around, but like stuff is going to break all over the place. But at education.restoringvenus.com, I am setting up classrooms so that we can have lots of classes where people can DIY at their own pace. And I am very excited about that. I hosted a couple classes this year to kind of see how they went. And we did some untangling emotions where we dealt with some of the reframing that we've talked about, and just kind of how to get in touch with our bodies and our emotions, and like how, because chemicals affect our nervous system, we just took that piece out and kind of looked at examining that. Hi, Sandra. And then Julia and I just finished up Setting Your Own Pace yesterday, which was all about movement and like, how do we go from where we are to where we want to be? Like, because so many of us get discharged from physical therapy, and then we're like, oh, okay, well, I can do those like table exercises fantastically, but like, how do I function in my life? Like, how do I go grocery shopping, or how do I get back to the gym? So setting your own pace is a class that gives you all of the tools that you need to be able to move from where you are to where you want to go. So just letting you know that those things are coming. I'm super excited about them. Julie was my guinea pig and she did phenomenally. And so we had a good time, and I'm hoping in the DIY version, it works for you too. So know that those things are coming, education.restoringvenus.com. And then like check out the site and you can like poke around and tell me what's broken, and I'll talk to my eldest son and see if he can fix it. I did not mention my eldest son when I was talking this morning before we started, but I was saying I have 3 kids. I have 2 that are born to me and 1 that adopted me. Damien is my eldest son, and he's 45. He's 45 now. I'm only 49, so clearly I didn't give birth. But when I was doing ministry, we hung out all the time, and his parents were kind of crappy. And so he adopted me. He started calling me mom when I was like 19, and he's never stopped. And he is like a genius with the website stuff. So thank you, Damien. I know you're not in here, but I'm giving you a shout out anyway, because I could not do the website stuff without you. And then for those of you that are curious, I've got my son that's 22, my daughter that turns 20 tomorrow, and I don't feel like I'm old enough to have children that old. Okay, I digress. Here we go. Movement. Okay. Number 1, there is no wrong way to move. You cannot squat wrong. You cannot lunge wrong. You cannot walk wrong. You cannot climb the stairs wrong. Like, one of the things, especially if you're dealing with a physical therapist, we are taught, oh, Lou, he is phenomenal. In physical therapy school, I was taught to like analyze gait, and you could, like their hip and their this and the bleh. We are taught to find fault so that we have something to document to give to insurance to fix you. Why can't I get my hands on screen? To fix you. You guys, you're not broken. Like, maybe what you're doing isn't working, but it's not because it's like faulty, right? So it's not like the average person, like one of the huge things, there's an offshoot of physical therapy, Charmin, I can't remember her first name, but she came up with all of these movement dysfunctions that your scapular dyskinesis is a huge one. Like, well, your muscles are firing wrong, and so your muscles move, so your bones are moving wrong, and that's why you're in pain. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Your muscles are firing differently because you're in pain. And the nanosecond that you're out of pain, whether it's with pain meds, anesthesia, or like because you solved your nervous system problem, everything goes back to working the way that it's supposed to. So when you are in therapy and you are being told all of these things are broken and wrong about you, please just chuck that. Take the stuff that works and just toss the stuff that makes you feel like a broken China doll, because it's really not helpful. I mean, it's really, really, really not helpful. And Laura is a former PTA as well, and she says at Truth for PT and billing. Like, we have to justify it to insurance, and insurance wants to see certain things, or they're going to like kick you out. They're not going to let you keep going. And so we learn how to deal with that. We're not thinking about the stories and the narratives that we're telling you. And I use the word story because I'm not saying they're making it up. We are taught this stuff, but like I said, the stuff about current research applies to physical therapy too. So like, for those of you that have back pain or SI pain, and Laura, hang on to your hat, because I don't know if you know this yet, but hang on to your hat because this one's a doozy. But somewhere in the 90s, there was a study done on like 8 people and when their transverse abdominis fired. And in that study, we found out that it fires differently. All right. So the core craze began. And everybody was like, oh my God, we need to teach people to contract their transverse abdominis. We need, like, it's all about the core. Back pain is all about the core, all about the core, all about the core. Okay. Please remember that information came off of a study of 8 people in pain. They only tested the painful side. They did not test the other side. This is a terrible design study. Terrible. I'm going to take another swig of coffee. The author of that paper, the guy that designed it, the guy that did it, went back and said, I want to know more about this. And when he did further studies, what he found out was, this is a crock of shit and it doesn't matter. Your transverse abdominis holds your internal organs in. It is like a corset, but like it just happens. Just like, are you thinking about the intrinsic little muscles in your feet to walk? God, I hope not. I hope you don't even know the names of them. I have forgotten. But the point is, our muscles fire because we're going to do something. Do you think about all the muscles in your forearm and your fingers when you go to pick up your cup of pop, soda, Coke, tea? No, you don't. Your body just does it. It's the same way with your core. It tightens, it works together. I mean, like, if you want to get like completely cellular about it, like there's this cool function between your diaphragm and your pelvic floor. And we can talk all about that on another day. If you guys want me to like geek out on that with y'all, I can. But the idea that you need to get your transverse abdominis firing, or that you need to tighten your core before you like function in life, and that's going to stop your back pain. The guy that they based that stuff on has gone back and said, nuh-uh, stop it. Don't do this anymore. And nobody's listening to him. So they're still teaching it. I mean, Peter debunked that a decade ago, and I still learned it in class. I graduated in 2014. It had been debunked by years for then. And there are still endless amounts of continuing education that teach it today. So I'm not saying like don't trust your PT at all, but I'm saying take it with a grain of salt. We need to move, right? Like we need to move. There's no perfect exercise. There's no specific way to move. There's just moving. And if you want to do something like horseback riding or canoeing or kayaking, or what's something that isn't water-based? I'm having trouble. Gardening, walking, running, all of that. Julia, that's because you have a decent PT. But like, if you want to do those things that I just listed, the way that you do those things is by doing little bits of those things. We build up to doing them. And if we're starting from in bed, we've been in bed for a long time, or we've been very sedentary, whether that's because you got sick with COVID and have long COVID like me, or because you've just been in so much pain, you've been tied to the house. We take it in tiny little bites. That's how we get our world back, right? Lou, that's exactly right. Stop putting our pain into a specific box. All of us here have pain, and we all want to get back to doing something. Your something may be different than my something. And Julia's something may be different than Laura's something. And Rachel's something may be different than Rebecca's something. But the point is, we pick our something and then we make a plan with teeny tiny little steps to get there. Because if we can't like shower and cook breakfast, it really doesn't make sense to start going back to CrossFit or dance class or whatever. We've got to take the little steps in between. And that's the part I feel like really everybody misses. So like somehow we're supposed to go from laying on a table doing 4-way leg exercises to like rejoining the yoga class that we really want to join at our local YMCA or gym. That's too big of a step. We're gonna hurt. We're gonna flare. We're putting way too much load on the tissue, which is going to take up room in the cup. So we got to do it smaller, right? This is part of the reason we keep failing, is we're doing too much too soon. And I know we've talked about the boom bust cycle before, but booming and busting is where like you have a good day or you get completely fed up with not doing the things and you just push through and do the things. Please give me a like, a heads up, a hand, something. Am I the only one that does this? I know I'm not, because Julia's in here and so is Rebecca. So at least the 3 of us do it. Is anybody else boom busting their way through life? Like you just You get tired of being sick and tired, so you pretend like you're normal and you just do the things that, you think, whatever your definition of normal is, you just do them. Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Seriously, I'm alone in that? Thank you, Lou. I feel better. So the way that we correct boom busting is, the first thing we have to do is we have to come to acceptance that, like, this is just the way that it is today. This is my current given set of abilities. I have X amount of energy. I have X amount of physical strength. I have X amount of emotional room, right? And it's not saying that that's the way it's always going to be. I think that's one of the other biggest problems with, like, the chronic pain world, is that there's this idea that because this is the way it is today, that that's the way it's going to be, like, forever and ever, amen. That's not it. If I had believed that, I would still be in bed. If I'd believed that about having long COVID, I'd still be in bed. I mean, you guys, this time last year, I was not good. It was not great. Like, I couldn't do much. And this year, while it has been more challenging than I wanted it to be. Last night, I was really having trouble with my word finding. But, like, I woke up this morning and I'm fine. I had a headache at the end of yesterday, which is that's a trigger for me. Like, I know it means I've done too much. But, like, I'm fine today. And then once I'm done with you all, I'm going to make sure I get the videos downloaded, and then I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to take a little break. That's what I'm going to do. I did. Julia said you had a big day yesterday. I did. And I tested myself to see, like, okay, can I handle this? Can I handle, like, an all day? And I did. And that's pretty cool. Because, again, 64 days till Disney World, and I'm going for 8 park days. And that's a lot. Like, that's a lot. So I'm going to need to start walking and see how that goes. But you see, that's just it. I'm being creative. I'm testing the waters. I'm seeing what's happened. And then I've got a plan for what happens if I just am overconfident and, like, my symptoms, I end up having a flare. And because I accept that I'm not who I was at the beginning of 2021, and that I've got different limitations now, that has enabled me to move forward, because I took baby bites. Well, and at other points in time, I've taken, like, monster bites, but that never worked out well. Didn't work out when I was in pain. Hasn't worked out well now. And, like, is it a pain in the ass? Of course it is. You guys, in January, February, March of 2022. Yeah. That's when my heart rate was all crazy. And I was told that I needed to use heart rate levels as my pacing tool, not like how I was feeling energy wise. So if my heart rate got up above 60% of my average, which at the time was like 102, I had to stop whatever I was doing. So it was taking me, I kid you not, 18 minutes to walk down my 13 stairs from my upstairs to my downstairs and keep my heart rate in that level. That's a pain in the ass. But I was told this is part of what you need to do to keep overriding your nervous system. Now, that's not emotional, right? Like, that's a physical symptom. And I had to keep it within boundaries for my heart rate to get better. And you know what? It's better now. I can actually run up and down my stairs a couple times in a row, and, like, my heart doesn't do weird things anymore, because I created what we're calling a safe environment. I stuck to the rules that my body was giving me until I was able to, like, push them out a little bit. Now, I'm still not back to anything that looks like exercise. I've got normal daily living, and it's taken me over a year to get there. But, like, exercise is the next thing to work on. You realize this is an allegory for all of you guys, right? Like, this is totally an allegory to what all of you are going through, which is why I'm telling it. So I need to start exercising. I need to start, like, by walking a little bit. And, okay, Rachel, overriding the nervous system, I filled the cup up too much. I've done too much. I've done more than my body can handle at its given state. So, like, a simple explanation for that would be, like, you have not picked up anything over 10 pounds, and you decide you're going to try to pick up a 100-pound rock. That's a lot. That's a lot to pick up, and your body's not going to be super happy about it. And you're probably going to strain things because you're trying to do something that your body has not trained for. It's not ready for. You have to start picking up 10-pound things and then maybe 12-pound things. And maybe 12 pounds is too much, so you got to go to 11, right? So we have to train to do the things that we want to do. And that's emotionally, that's physically, that's spiritually, that sensory stuff was huge for me. I could hardly stand to be in public, and I'm like a freaking extrovert. I love people. I feed off the energy of people, but all of the noises and the sounds and the smells and other people's voices, I didn't have the ability to block them out anymore. My nervous system was so highly attuned to everything for about 1.5 years post-COVID that stuff like that physically hurt me. Like, it hurt my ears, it hurt my eyes. My innards vibrated, which a couple of you talked about and we'll get to in the Q&A. But I had to slowly expose myself to things that were challenging and give it short bursts instead of sitting through an entire meal. Like what Nate and I started doing was we started going to our favorite bar, which is small. It's a small bar, so there's not a ton of people to take up that space. And instead of sitting down for a meal, we would order our meal beforehand, go in to pick it up, and then come out. So we would only be there for a little bit. And then we started by going in and having a drink and taking our meal with us until both of us could tolerate sitting there for longer periods of time. And we literally started with picking up the meal. Then we had a drink. Then we added a drink and an appetizer until we were able to tolerate staying as long as we used to. You can call that graded exposure. You can call that graded exercise. It's graded. It's a graded experience. It's how we got to where we wanted to be. We had to slowly expose ourselves over and over until, like, I keep talking about it in terms of safety because that's the easiest way to explain it. It's not a complete explanation. So please understand that. But I kept exposing my nervous system to things that were overstimulating in teeny tiny bites so that I could get used to them again. Lou, yeah, you're dead on. She says sometimes she just needs to be alone in a quiet environment. We don't even have to be in pain for that to be true. Again, I do a lot of reading into like the societal impact of being a woman in today's society. And moms are often overstimulated and we need to pull back and get away. And especially stay-at-home moms, because like there's no break. So we're constantly overstimulated and we need to pull back. Social media that's another great example of places where like we probably ought to limit our time because it's affecting us and it's making things more sensitive whether we realize it or not. So social media is a double-edged sword, right? All right, so we talked about boom bust and that we have to pace, which means we're going to choose the things that we want to do most, and we're going to make sure that those get done, and then we're going to create space around those events or those things so that we can do that thing. And the thing, it doesn't matter what it is. Like that's the beauty of it. You get to decide, right? You get to decide what that thing is and how you're going to create space and room in your nervous system in your life to make that thing possible. And if you need help, well, post up in the group and let other people help you. Or if you want one-on-one, like check out with me and we'll set up a consult. But the point is this group is meant to help each other, right? So if you post up your questions, like don't think that, oh, well, I'm never going to get it answered because I can't afford a one-on-one with Amy. Use the group. These people, you guys are brilliant. You are so smart and you help each other, right? Rachel, that's exactly right. You're totally getting it. Like she says she remembers a penny falling on her foot and it felt like an encyclopedia fell, right? Like your brain is poorly calibrating the event that's happening because it's so sensitive. It's so sensitized. And the way that, it's exposure, it's pulling things back. And oftentimes we have to pull back a lot further than we want to. And it's really unpleasant, and it feels confining. And it is, like, let's be real, it is, but it's how we get to the other side. And I think so often, so much of the information we get is push, 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 push. Just do it, just do it, just do it. And like, that's fine if you're just coming back from an acute injury. But when it's chronic and your system is all ramped up, we've got to like sneak up on it, right? We're recalibrating that car alarm that we talked about. We don't want it to go off when the squirrel looks at it. We want it to go off when like an actual intruder is trying to break into my car. Lou, you are doing a great job, sweetheart. So we have to sneak up on it, is my point. And breaking those things down into smaller chunks is really one of the most efficient ways to do that. Yes, it takes longer. Yes, it's more annoying. No, you probably can't do your grocery shopping all at once if you're not grocery shopping right now. But you know what? You can order everything online except for the stuff at the front of the store, like the produce. And you start with the produce. So everything else you're going to pick up, and you're going to shop for just your produce. Why can't you? Why can't you do that? Why can't you order everything else off of Amazon except for the one thing that you know you can get to in the hardware store? I did this a lot in trying to increase my stamina. I love working out in my garage. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I like to refinish furniture. I like to repurpose furniture. I like to build stuff. And I was working on an old door that I had picked up in the car, like somebody was throwing it out, and I was working on building like a hall tree out of it. And I needed some things to get that done. But I knew I didn't have enough energy to go through all of my Menards to get to the back to get the thing I needed and work on the project. And the thing I really wanted was to work on the project. So I ordered the rest of the stuff so I could pick it up. And yeah, it cost me like an extra $5, but I was able to do the thing I wanted, which was work on the hall tree, instead of having to go to Menards one day and then rest a day and then work on the hall tree the third day, right? So it's, yes, Lori, that's exactly right. Relying on kids, relying on neighbors. In Moving Beyond Pain, we actually do like a serious workshop on asking for help because it's hard. And most of us feel like we have wrung out all of the help that we're allowed to ask from medical professionals and our family and our friends. And we got to get creative sometimes. And Amazon, I mean, truly, while the pandemic absolutely sucked ass in every way, it was good in that there's a lot more stores that will shop for you at no cost, that will deliver groceries to your home. Like, there are a lot of things that are far more helpful for those of us that need to conserve energy or don't have the strength right now. And Lou, I completely agree with you that hobbies are really good to help us with our pain. I think everybody should have a hobby. I don't care what it is. And Lou, I want to come to your house and make costumes with you, please. I know you're in Canada, but I would love to come and make cosplay with you because that sounded fantastically awesome. If any of you Disney bound, I'm putting together some outfits. So sewing, I can't sew for crap. And I know that, Julia, do you knit or crochet or both? Laura says, I might need to suggest the ordering, then shopping fresh foods for my mom. Is she trying? Yes, because you can break it down, right? And if like she's super particular about her meat, I don't know why the hell the meat is always at the back of the store, but it is. But like, then shop for everything else and, get the scooter and then stand at the counter, right? Like, knit and sew and quilt. Girlfriend. There are always creative ways to break down the things that we want to do, right? So let's say you're making seafood, all whatever, and you want specific shrimp or you want specific scallops or like the perfect lobster or whatever. The rest of the stuff, like somebody else can go shop for that. but you're going to go to the back of the store, but you're like, I don't think I can get to the back of the store and back to the front of the store. So use the cart. Go to the pharmacy and borrow crutches. I mean, like, there's a million different ways to help yourself. Park closer, park next to the cart corral and pick up the cart. There are a million ways that you can do a portion of it until you expand your capacity to do more. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Like, you may not be able to crochet for 3 hours because maybe your forearms aren't strong enough, right? But you can crochet for 5 minutes, and then you can crochet for 5 minutes tomorrow, and then you can crochet for 6 minutes next week. 90-year-old on a scooter is dangerous. Okay, fair enough. But you're probably not going to put her in the cart to push her, because that would be weird too. But what I'm saying is there are ways, then put her in the wheelchair and push her and then make her walk an aisle, right? Like, just because we can't walk the whole thing doesn't mean we can't walk any of it. And that's important to think about. I think grocery shopping is one of the hardest things that we do. And I want you to think about this, right? Like, people are like, yeah, but I can't grocery shop. Yeah, no kidding. It's a freaking marathon. So you go into the store, you go shopping, you put the item in your cart. You walk the store, you put more stuff in your cart. You get to the checkout, and if you're like me, now you have to self-checkout. But so then you have to take everything out of the cart and you put it on the belt, and then it goes into the bag. And then it goes back into your cart. So we're on the third movement of this same item, right? Then it's got to go from your cart to your car. That's the fourth time. And then it's got to go from your car to inside. That's the fifth time. And then once it's inside, it's got to get put away. That's the sixth time. So that box of Triscuits that you bought has moved 6 times from being on the shelf to being in your pantry. It's okay to ask somebody else to put the stuff in your car. It's okay to ask somebody else to put it away. If you did 2 out of those 6 touches, you're doing great. Maybe you can only put part of the groceries away. Maybe you're like me and you want to be, Nancy, what's the name of the Supergirl from, the really strong sister from Encanto? I want to pick all of my groceries up and take them in. I only want 1 trip from the car to the house. I don't like more than that. And I am willing to suffer whatever consequence that there is in doing that, because I hate going out to the car for a second time. But you see what I'm saying? We can break this down. We can make this easier. We can do part of that trip and not do the other part. Julia says, that's why when I go shopping, I go to this one store where they put the groceries on the checkout bag and take to my car. Yeah. I miss that. Lou says, my parents go to the pharmacy on their own. They're 89 and 87. Then my husband and I get their groceries for them and help them put them away. That's exactly right. And it's not because we're old, these are examples of grandparents, but it's because they need help. Louisa, is that right? Did I say it right? I think Louisa. We don't talk about Bruno, no. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Focusing. All right. So I said we need to do the thing to do the thing. I said there's no perfect exercise to get you out of pain in your arm, neck, back, SI, whatever. That it's the exercise that you will do that's going to help. It's not now. It's not forever. It's for now. The pain and the limitation, right? So I was talking with somebody the other day and they said, well, I was told I could only lift 10 pounds. What an arbitrary, unless you are post-op, because I know there's a couple of you in here that are post-op or about to be post-op. Listen to those rules. Do not listen to Amy. Listen to the rules your surgeon gives you while your tissue is healing from what they cut into. Let's not dick with that. But you've got pain and you're told you can only lift 10 pounds. Why? It's awfully arbitrary. One of the favorite things that I've ever been told was with SI joint pain, don't do things unequally. Lou, that's another great example of an accommodation that we make. And it may be for now, it may be forever, but your parents are older, so it makes sense. But she said she got a folding wagon to lug their groceries up to their 5th floor apartment. Why not? I've got a little red wagon out in my backyard that I found in somebody's garbage, and I've been using that to carry my firewood into the house in the winter. Because why not? It's either that or my kid. Connor's a good boy. But I got what Bruno. Now, not forever. 10 pounds, 10 pounds. It's totally arbitrary. Yeah, Laura, that's ridiculous. You and I can talk about like that more specifically, the SI and the twisting and the weight. Like, that's insane. Your SI joint is so insanely stable. Like, I get that it may hurt when we do those things, but there's no reason not to lift more than 10 pounds. As you noted yesterday, that you're lifting things that are heavier than 10 pounds, and it's kind of okay. I was talking about the most insane advice I got on my SI joint. It was to never do anything uneven with my legs. And I was like, so like walking, I shouldn't walk because my legs are like, one is forward and the other is back. And that's like a lunge. And you told me I should never do lunges. So I should never walk, and I should never walk upstairs if I'm never supposed to do asymmetrical things. That's insane. That's insane. That's insane troll logic. And like, somebody decided that lunges were bad for SI joints, but squats weren't. And then you get this advice. And then it's like, okay, but if you carry that out into the world, it makes no sense. I didn't have pain when climbing upstairs. I didn't have pain when walking. I had pain in like not moving positions, right? Like, so sitting for a long time, laying for a long time, standing for a long time. But squats and lunges didn't really matter. I mean, I didn't like lunges because I'd been told to be afraid of them. So it took a long time to stop being afraid of them. But why would it be okay if my legs were together versus my legs being split? That literally doesn't change the position of the SI joint either. Like, oh, there's so much crazy advice out there that's supposed to protect us. Rachel, you were told by your orthopedic doc not to turn your head from left to right. What about right to left? Can you go that, like, is that okay? Or is it on, this is what I'm saying. Like, how do you function if you can't turn your head? I have a friend that lives in Australia that is a physical therapist. His name's Anthony. And on one of his courses for pelvic floor PTs, he tells this story about a guy that he treated. Taking another drink. Guy was in his 20s and he had low back pain, and the doctor told him not to bend over. And the guy was like, okay. He went to see Anthony like at 28. So like 8, 10 years, 12 years later. And he was still not bending. And Anthony said, how do you get your pants on? And he's like, oh, it's such a pain. I have to lay down on the bed. Like, I get them all ready and I lay down on the bed and I wiggle them up and then button them and then stand up. You guys, that is that is movement prison. That's insane. We got to stop listening. We've got to experiment, because somewhere along the line, we were probably told not to do something, and we have to test it right now. This goes back to like day 2 when we talked about all those tissues. Just because it hurts doesn't mean it's damaged. Just because you're afraid doesn't mean you'll always be afraid. We got to slowly expose ourselves to these things. And we need to test some of these things, or we need to go back to the doctor and be like, why did you, or physical therapist, and say, why did you tell us that? Another example of for now, not forever is for a while I was treating in a vestibular clinic, which is people that dizzy, and dizzy is a lot like chronic pain. It makes you very afraid to move when your whole world spins when you like turn your head. And I was working outpatient orthopedics at the same time, 2 different companies. So there's only one place in town for vestibular stuff. And so I was working for that woman, learned a lot. It was really interesting. People would have the dizzy and the crystals in their ears, and then you do the maneuver, and then you're like, okay, just don't tilt your head for like 24 hours and you'll be fine. In my orthopedic clinic, I had a woman that had neck pain for the last 6 years. And I went to like rub her neck, give her a neck massage, and try to work on some of the tension that way. See if we could give her some yummy feels in the neck and do the things to a baby, right? We were going to jiggle, give her some joint mobs and jiggle her and bounce her and soothe her. And she was so panicked, and she was like, don't tilt my head backwards. I was told never to tilt my head back again. And I was like, okay, well, does she have like a spinal, like, does she have a cervical fusion? Like, why was she told that? So I asked, and she said, oh, 6 years ago, I went to see this lady and I had crystals in my ears and she told me not to move my neck. And I was like, Did you see this person? And she said, yeah. And I said, okay, I also work for that person. She meant 24 hours, not 6 years. And she didn't believe me because, she'd spent the last 6 years not tilting her head ever, which is why she had neck pain. And I encouraged her to call the clinic back and talk to the PT that told her that. And she got it corrected. She came back in. She said, what do I, okay, you were right. What do I do now? And we started working on slowly being able to turn her head and move it in all the directions, which brings me to my last point, which is we need all of the postures. There is no perfect posture. There's no perfect way to sit. If you sit in whatever you were told is the most perfect posture that there is in the world, you will eventually start hurting because our bodies are meant to move. And as Nancy says, move the damn thing. So you should be shifting a lot when you're sitting. You can slouch. You can cross your legs. You can sit on a leg. You can sit on both legs. You can cross both legs. It doesn't matter. You can sit to the left. You can sit to the right. You can sit forward. You can slouch your back. You can roll your shoulders forward. You can roll your shoulders back. You can shift your ribs. There's no bad posture. We need to be in all of them or we start to hurt. So screw the bad posture, screw the wrong sitting, screw all of that. Live your life. And for God's sake, don't worry about how you're sleeping because, Lord, you sleep. Just sleep, okay? So those are some movement myths that I wanted to bust for you all. There's no wrong movement. Sit however is comfortable. Stand however is comfortable. It indulged me. I will show you why in a moment. There is just a fluff pile of cuteness going on over here. Can you see this? I will post this, but like everybody, all the animals in my house are all piled up, taking a nap. Okay, sorry, got distracted. I will post that because it's so freaking cute. But you can't do it wrong. Just do the thing. Do the thing. Try it in different ways. There are going to be better ways for you today than will be tomorrow. Right? Okay. I am going to draw our first winner for today because I'm drawing a bunch of winners today. So give me a hot second and we're going to spin the wheel. I'm sorry. Maybe by January, I will have figured out how to spin the wheel like so that you can see it. All right. Our winner today is somebody from our replay crew, Cheryl Boss. Congratulations. Nancy or Rebecca, can one of you tag her if that's possible? Try at Cheryl Boss and see if that highlights. But Cheryl, you are the winner of a year-long membership to the Pain Flare course, and hopefully that will help you. So congratulations on that. And now we're going to start the Q&As. So if you have Q&As for today, thank you, Nancy. Can you also tell her she's a winner? If you have questions for the Q&A, throw them in there now. I will do my best to answer them, but I did write down a lot of them like I promised I would with the help of my beautiful helpers. So thank you, ladies. All right. The first idea was, like, I've been in pain forever. Is there really a chance that I can get out of it? And the answer is yes. If I could be in intense pain for like the intense pain where I wanted to die for, a decade, you can too. Pain is changeable. It takes work. It takes time. It takes changing how you approach your situation, but it is totally possible. So keep an open mind and keep experimenting. That is, I guess, if I were to give one piece of advice to anybody that wants to try to change their pain, it is keep an open mind and be curious. Be curious about movement and your inner thoughts and all of that good stuff. Okay. The next question was, why is pain often misdiagnosed? And what do you do when that happens? Instead of feeling like a lab rat. Oh, I don't know that we can stop feeling like lab rats, to be honest. Pain is complex and it's layered, and medicine isn't perfect. So it gets it wrong. And I think the key is, did you get the red flags taken care of? Right? Like, we don't want to miss cancer because that's bad. Right? Lou, we don't want to miss cancer. We want to get cancer treated. But if we have back pain and we've had the scans and there's no tumors and our spinal cord's intact and like all of the big scary things are ruled out, and there's no reason to think that it's something more insidious, we can probably stop there. But in other cases, when the pain doesn't make sense or there's reason to think that maybe we need to see a rheumatologist or a neurologist, it can be frustrating. I mean, that's why we're here, is because it can be frustrating. And I want to be very careful to say, well, just stop, versus like, no, you need to make sure that you feel comfortable with your diagnosis, but you also have to have insurance and money and all of that, because it's all part of that balancing act. And that's where I'm like, but it's individual. And I know that that's not a very satisfying answer. So why is it misdiagnosed so often? Because it's super complicated. Because pain is complicated. And what do you do when it happens? Some people stop, some people keep going. Next question was, why does pain have to take away the things that we love? And I would challenge that thought, and I would say, I don't think it has to. It may change the way we do things for a while, but I don't think it has to take away the things that we love. And I think part of the reason that we suffer is because we allow pain to take the things that we love instead of being willing to adjust. And when I say, we need to reframe, we need to think about how we're approaching things, I think by redefining what it means to do the thing that we love, we can do an awful lot more than we think we can. But if we're just sitting waiting for an answer and waiting for a fix or waiting for the right medication or the right surgery, like, that is when we start missing out on stuff, and we stop believing that we have the ability to change our situation or to. There's so much, at least in America, and for those of you in other countries, I would love your feedback, but this idea of ableism, that you have to be able-bodied and completely functional to matter in society, that's a lie. It's a lie, and we buy into it, and I've bought into it, and I'm trying to deprogram myself from that simply being me is enough, and contributing in a way that I can is what's important. Lou says, no, we don't have to lose the things we love. By the time the doctor had figured out she had cancer, the tumor was bigger than a basketball. Holy crap. I give him credit for continuing to find the source of my pain. Otherwise, I would have died. There's the cautionary tale, right? Because if Lou was like, oh, it's just all neuroplastic pain and I just need to like adjust my nervous system and like take some things out of my cup, she would have missed the cancer. Now, Lou, maybe you can tell us later how they missed a basketball-sized tumor. But yeah. Because it seems like medicine should not have missed that. And let's be honest, as women, our pain often gets blamed on being overdramatic, being overweight, or being anxious. And if that's what's happening, you keep fighting. Because that's shit. That's bad doctoring. If you've had all the scans and nothing's come back, and you've had all the blood tests and nothing's come back, like there's no markers, there's no nothing, then yeah, you can probably stop. It's probably nociplastic pain and you need to work on these other things, right? But if there's stuff coming back in the tests and you still can't figure it out, you need to move on to a new doctor. And I realize that's easier said than done because insurance gets in the way of all of that and finances get in the way of all that. So you've got to do the best you can with what you have and where you live and where you're at. I loved this question. I don't really have an answer for it, but why is the bed so hard? Why is the bed of the MRI so hard? Why can't it be a soft bed? I'm guessing it's because it's taking pictures of our innards, and if it was a soft bed, like whatever was inside of the bed would get in the way of the picture. But it does sure seem like they could make those things softer, doesn't it? Lori says they like to give answers sometimes wrong. My tumor wasn't cancer, but removed 2 years later. Blood tests were strange, but they kept digging. They kept digging. That's the point, because something was off and they had to keep digging. I had sciatic for 18 months, and they checked nothing. I can't read. Hold on. Melanie says, I had sciatica for 18 months and nothing checked until they decided to do a scan, finding the growth on ovaries the size of a plum. And as soon as that was removed, it felt better. I'm sorry, my voice did that because I'm so sick and tired of women having growths and tumors and people saying that we're complaining about our pain, because it's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous because of stories like Rebecca's, if you listen to that, where she was like, yeah, so my appendix burst and it had been burst for about a week, but it didn't hurt as bad as other things, so I didn't go in. I really wish they would listen. And I have not a whole lot of nice things to say about that, but I wish that they would listen to us like they listen to men. All right. I can't stand or sit very long. Do you have any suggestions? Yes, I do. That's where that graded exposure comes in. And however long you can sit that long in another second. And do that, over time until you can build up a tolerance for sitting or standing longer. That's how we have to do it. Because the thing is, it's not just like a fear thing, like it's a tissue thing. You're asking your tissue to hold you up. If we're sitting or standing, our heart has to work harder because it's against gravity. So you are indeed challenging your system if you typically lay down all the time, and now you need to sit or stand. And Melanie, I'm sorry, I read that and I didn't say to you, I am so sorry that happened to you. That sucks. It makes me mad. I just lost my thing. There it is. Okay. So yes, anything that you want to do and you can't do it long, slowly start building it up a couple seconds at a time. And when you feel comfortable adding a couple seconds, every few days, add a little bit more. And that is how we go from not being able to tolerate standing or sitting to being able to tolerate standing or sitting. Somebody asked about injections. Are they effective? And the answer is, you're going to love it. It depends. Steroid injections work really great if inflammation is part of the problem. If inflammation isn't part of the problem, they tend to not work as well. And there's plenty of research that say those steroid injections help 50% of the population and don't help the other 50%. So if you want to try them, if you have the money, if you have the time, if you have the available hope to give, and you can go in knowing they may or may not help, give it a go. Some people, they're like panacea. They help people live. Other people, like me, they didn't help at all. So you've got to talk with your doctor and see if it makes sense for your condition and make the decision from there. All right. How do you tell where the pain is coming from? I don't. I leave that to the doctors. So, like we talked about with the low back pain information, a lot of the time we don't know. Like you've got non-specific low back pain is what it's called. And we don't know what structure is injured. And again, I think this is where it's important to say, if your scans and everything are coming out fine because you've been in pain for so long that they finally decided to give you a scan, which is not recommended, by the way, just letting you know, for low back pain, scans are not recommended without some very, very specific indicators, because it really just increases your costs, it lowers your likelihood of getting better, and it doesn't help your treatment plan at all. So know when your doctor refuses to give you an MRI because you've had low back pain, like on and off, they're not wrong. They're just following current guidelines, and they're trying to save you some dollars and some loss of hope. Is the stuff in the cup that we talked about only unhealthy things? And for that illustration, yes. For the illustration that we use this week of the cup, things in the cup are things that make your nervous system more sensitive so that it fires off faster. So I would say yes. There was a wonderful conversation about being neurospicy, and what I wanted to say is that when we are neurospicy, our cups start out smaller. So, like, you know, if this is the normal the neurotypical's cup, the neurospicy cup is even smaller. So it gets full faster. So, yay for being neurospicy. But if it feels like more things affect you and things affect you bigger or faster or sooner, yeah, you are correct, because your action potential is smaller. We don't have as much room in the cup. So that's why we have to make it better. It takes less stimulation to fill it or overflow it. That's exactly right. That is exactly what I'm saying. Because being neurospicy means that our nervous system does not work the way that a normal person's does. And so we have different things going on. We're already more sensitive to like everything. Like, so it's a smaller cup. So we have to be more on top of those things that we can be on top of. I said that I was going to talk about the vibrating feeling. I have had this and I have asked about it. So I am taking my pain coach hat off and I am putting my Amy talking to you from her own experience hat on. So there is no research to back what I am saying that I have read at this point. But my understanding is that vibrating, yes, Lou, 1,000%. So for those of us with neurospicy kids or parents or spouses or loved ones or whatever, we need to recognize that their cup is smaller. And so they can't handle as much stimulation or like stuff, whatever their trigger is, right? Like their cups get fuller faster. But I was talking about the vibration. So my understanding is that this is often actually a symptom of overstimulation. So like too much of whatever, too much pain, too much sound, too much light, too much stress. And it is actually anxiety, but usually without the racing thoughts or like the catastrophic thoughts. So it is the physical manifestation of anxiety without necessarily having all of the like chaos that I've heard other people describe with their anxiety. So if you find that you are having a vibrating feeling often within you and you do not have a medical condition that is a side effect of, oftentimes anti-anxieties and antidepressants can help with that. They also help calm the nervous system because that's their job. They decrease stimulation in the body. So if your medical team at any point has suggested that maybe you try antidepressants or anti-anxieties, maybe don't fob them off because they're just saying that you're depressed and that's why you're in pain. We don't really care why they're saying what they're saying. I mean, I guess we kind of do, but overall, like try the medicine because it can be an aid in lowering, like that's part of the way we can empty the cup is through medication like that. Medication choices are like beta blockers, because those can also act as nervous system depressants, anti-anxiety meds. If you are already on some form of opiate, don't be surprised if your doctor does not want to prescribe you benzos. That's normal. That's good medicine. Don't get mad. I see people in the pain community get mad all the time. Please don't. Let your doctor not kill you. That's a good thing. And always talk to your friendly neighborhood pharmacist that handles all of your medications to make sure there's no weird interactions. And tell them every single medicinal thing you're on. So I don't care if you're smoking weed. I don't care if you're taking vitamins for a million different things, but you have to tell the pharmacist because those things matter. Just saying. Just saying they matter. Rachel, you get electrical shocks in your body. That tends to be related to neuropathic pain. Since I'm not your doctor, I don't know why that happens for you, but when I get electric shocks, I tend to think nerves being scrunched and unhappy. Lou says a mild anti-anxiety med has worked great for me during my cancer treatments. Yeah. I was actually put on a so several summers back, I was having some mental health issues and I needed some help. And so I went to my doctor and I was prescribed a super low dose of gabapentin. And I was like, I don't want to be on that, man. I was not thrilled with that choice. And the doctor came back to me. It was not my primary care. He came back to me with some research and said, this can really help anxiety. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. And it was fantastic. All the vibrating stopped. And I liked the not having the vibrating. And I also liked that the gabapentin didn't make me feel like some of the heavier benzos, which just made me sleepy because I don't like to be sleepy. So vibrating, consider that it may be because you're having some anxiety, that you're having the somatic experience in your body, symptoms of anxiety, and you're not necessarily having racing thoughts or catastrophic thoughts or whatever else you associate with feeling like you're not afraid, right? You're just doing life, but your body is still vibrating. Could also be that you need to drink more water. There was an excellent. Okay, 2 more questions and then I'm going to be done for today unless y'all have more, which you should start typing now. But what do I do if I can't get my med refills? And this is actually a very common question that I get, hey, Amy, my doctor won't prescribe, or I can't get them, or whatever. Okay. Again, I am not a medical professional. This is me helping people troubleshoot. So the first thing that I would do is I would call the pharmacy and ask them to call your doc for a refill. It is easier for me to call my pharmacy and say, hey, can you refill my meds? Can you call doc and ask him to refill my meds, than for me to try to get a hold of my doc. It gets done much faster that way. If it is a situation where your doctor has stopped prescribing, I think that warrants either you're going to type through your patient portal and ask, can you please explain why? There may be a reason. There are lots of legal issues around drugs and medications that doctors have to deal with. And it is really hard to stay on top of all of those. So please know that your doctor may not be being an ass. It could be because there is a literal legal reason that they can no longer prescribe what they were prescribing. As an example, I am on Ritalin to help activate my nervous system to help combat the fatigue that I have from long COVID. That is a controlled substance, and I have to call my doctor every month as long as I am on this medication to get it refilled. And then I've got to go into the doctor every 3 months. I think I need a face-to-face with him. I think it's every 3 months to stay on said medication because it is a controlled substance. So you can thank all the jackasses that sell medication on the streets and are making it a problem for a lot of these laws. But what are you going to do? So talk to your pharmacy, have them call your doc, talk to your doc if they won't refill. And if your doctor won't answer you, it's time to find a new doc. And yeah, that's a pain in the ass because of the PTSD and the insurance and all the things. but that may be what you need to do. There are a lot of medications that we are on that we should not quit cold turkey. And so you need to talk to your pharmacist. You need to know what those medications are. You need to know what you're taking. And sometimes we gotta get loud. And Julia, I'm calling you out, but Julia is a phenomenal resource for a lot of these things and for writing notes to doctors that tend to get action. So Julia, I'm sorry for calling you out. You can like beat me later if you didn't want me to do that, but she may be a good resource if you are struggling to get the medication that has helped you in the past and you don't have a good reason from your doc why you're not getting it. My last question for today, unless you guys put in more, is when do I know it's time to stop seeking answers for my pain? And I think that that's a great question for so many reasons, because it's exhausting and it takes up a lot of space in our brains, and it takes up a lot of time and a lot of money and often a lot of hope, especially when we don't get the answers that we need. So as always, the answer with me is that it's going to be individual, and each of you are going to have to make your own individual decisions about when you have sought enough medical care. I would say if you have been in the system for a while and you have heard, I have disc degeneration, I've got arthritis, I'm getting older, I've got SI joint problems, I've got trigger points, I was told my posture's bad, my core's weak, I'm still in pain. Like these kinds of things, it's probably time to start working on other stuff. And you can leave the medical side for a little bit. If you internally feel like there's something wrong, like I have a feeling, Lou, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a feeling she knew something wasn't right. I think listening to our inner voice is really important. So if stuff is just not coming back and making sense, that's when we need to escalate. And we need to learn to say things like, I would like you to document that you're not going to do any further testing. I understand we've reached the end of your know-how. Who can you refer me to? And Sandra, you just said the next thing I'm going to say. And Sandra says, take a break. It may lower your cup. Sometimes we have to get off the medical merry-go-round. We have to stop with the Google searching. We have to stop with the non-supportive pain support groups where everybody's talking about how awful everything is and how, they're not getting any better and they've tried everything. And like the woe is me groups, like we've all been in them occasionally. We all have to be a part of them, right? But sometimes we need to take a step back from that. You may, as much as I try to make this group a safe place, you may need to step back from this group. And that's totally okay. Like, because we all have to do what we have to do for our nervous systems. So Sandra is 1,000% right that sometimes taking a break from the medicine, or what I'm saying, take a break from the medicine in the groups and just live your life. Sometimes that is the best thing that we can do for ourselves. And if you need help, I'm here. Rachel, you feel like you've wasted 17 years seeking medical answers. Sweetheart, I don't think so. I know we've talked privately about some of your symptoms. I think it's worth, for you specifically, I don't think you've wasted any time because you've gotten some answers. And sometimes things are layered and complicated. And like I said, just because we have neuropathic pain, generally that's injury, danger, or we have neuropathic pain coming from a squooshed nerve or a damaged nerve, we can also have nociplastic pain. Just because you have one doesn't mean you don't have the others. But when we know it's nociplastic, because there's nothing like significant on our scans. Like there's not a basketball sized tumor on our spine, right? Like when that's not there, but we have astronomical pain that's keeping us in bed, that's probably a pretty good indicator that we can at least try some of this retraining your brain, rebooting your pain, taking a different look at things, so that at the very least, we're not as crippled and disabled and trapped by our pain as we were when we started. Lori says, I took a break long ago, other than when it's severe and can't function. I got to that place too. And honestly, when I left the system completely, that's when I actually started to get better. Now, I'm not saying that's for everybody. And I think medical management is very, very, very important when you have supportive MDs, when you have a supportive team. Like, I am not against physical therapy in any way, shape, or form. If it helps you to your goals, do it. I have a massage therapist that I absolutely love, and I see him when I need a little bit of touch and I need something to calm my mind, right? Like, I don't see him often anymore, but like, he's not moving my fascia or working out trigger points. He's making me feel safe and pampered as the human meat sack. So, yeah. And Lou said, yes, she did know something was wrong. So for those of you that were wondering and can't read the comments, she knew. She knew. And it's okay to take a break because you just don't have the available hope or resilience. Like, that is a perfectly legit reason to take a break from the medical merry-go-round. And just focus on supporting yourself. Focus on things that you love. Focus on tiny bites and see what happens. Safe and pampered is so critical. That is a lot. We spend a lot of time in Moving Beyond Pain figuring out what it means to be safe for each of the people inside of that group. I have been told that it could just be like a Better Your Life class if I took like the exercise portions out, but it's important that we learn to be safe inside of ourselves, and we learn to stand up for ourselves, and we learn what we need to say yes to and what we need to say no to. The very last question, and I wasn't sure if I was going to answer it or not, was, who am I if I don't have pain? And if that is a question you are asking yourself today, I'm so sorry, because I've been there. And the answer is, you are exactly who you were before you had pain. You're you. You're you. You're uniquely you. And the point of everything I do is helping you find you again, because that's where joy is. That's where safety is. That's where we move beyond pain, is when we find ourselves again. And a lot of you will be able to do that on your own. Some of you might need a little bit of help from me or somebody else. And sadly, there's going to be some of you that choose to do nothing because you're still waiting for a doctor to get the answer. And that's okay too. You can still be part of this group. I am going to feel sad though. So just know that. So your homework for today is, what's your next step? You've been with me all week. You've heard an enormous amount of stuff. I think a lot of you have had aha moments. So what is your next step? What is the next thing that you are going to do to move beyond your pain? Are you going to read a book? Are you going to go to the doctor? Are you going to find a new PT? Are you going to join Moving Beyond Pain? Are you going to say, Amy, I don't want to join Moving Beyond Pain, but I think I need some help. Can you point me in the right direction? Are you going to send me a DM and tell me something? Ask me something. Maybe you are. Are you going to ask somebody else that's in this coaching space because you connect with them? Because that's okay. I just want you to get better. Maybe you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to stick around and I'm going to post more in the group. I'm going to be involved, because I always hate when the involvement drops off after these things. It makes me so sad, because I enjoy you all and I feel like we've gotten to know each other over the last week, and I want to know more about you and your story and who you are. So what's your next step? And that dropped like 19 minutes ago because we're just talking forever today. So tomorrow we draw for a scholarship winner for 50% off of Moving Beyond Pain. That'll drop at 11:30. I will probably poke into most of your DMs. This group is open for how long? Lori, it's open forever. This is not like a pop-up Facebook group. We are here 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, forever and ever and ever. So it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't stop. I will start posting different content. My intent is to come back to the weekly lives now that I'm doing better. But every Monday, I drop a blog post. There are questions that are asked throughout the week that give you an opportunity to think about things. There are more bits and tidbits about pain and neuroscience and tissue and all the things. So please, please, please stay in the group and stay active and post your own questions. And we decided this week that we're gonna do a thread once a week that where you're gonna post a picture of the week. So don't leave, stay here. There's gajillions of stuff. I mean, like I talk forever in the guide sections. There's a bunch of videos that are way shorter than these, just to let you know. But yeah, there's so much more to share and to learn here. And it makes it better when you guys share your experiences and like actually answer the prompts that I put in the stuff that gets posted. Just saying, it makes me feel like I'm helping. Help me feel like I'm helping. All right. So the homework is, what's your next step? I will remind you that this chronic pain reboot disappears on July 6th unless you join the VIP group, in which case you will have access to it, forever. In education.restoringvenus.com. Today is the last day of the fast acting bonus for Moving Beyond Pain. Rebecca or Nancy, if you're still here, can you drop that for me? But you get 4 extra 45-minute sessions with me over the course of the 6 months. You get access to Pain Flare Roadmap, which will help you design your own pain flare plan. And you will get a copy of my book, Stories of Hope, which is 14 other people's stories of how they moved beyond their own pain, and a ton more information about like how pain works and why it works and what you can do to fix it. Like we go into detail on graded exposure and things like that. Thank you, Nancy. So the link that Nancy just dropped takes you to, the sales page, and it will give you all of the information. If you want to know what we cover, it's in there with cute little titles. And it is it's $4,000. I said yesterday, a lot of you contacted me and said, Amy, I can't, I need to work out a payment plan. Can we do something? Y'all are great. So thank you for doing that. Again, I'm saying it again. If that is something that you're interested in, money is not going to be the barrier. We're gonna deal with it, and we're gonna come up with something that works. Now, it may be that you're running my tech for 6 months, but we will come up with a plan and make it work. Okay? You have to do the work, and you have to contact me, because that's how this goes. So, yeah. So, Moving Beyond Pain registration is open till July 6th. Fast acting bonus goes away tonight. I think the morning email said 6. I decided I was feeling generous and that I'm going to let it go till 11:59 tonight. Tomorrow it's gone. So act on it fast, because it's over $600 worth of stuff that you're getting just for free because you're not waiting till the last minute to sign up. So, we've been on for like an hour and 25 minutes, so I'm pretty sure you're bored as snot by now, but please keep posting up questions. And what I'll do is I'll just start using them as lives for the week. So keep learning, stay in the group. If 6 months of coaching and getting your life back sounds like you are ready, you are in the place, you are ready to make these, you're ready to overhaul your life and get back to being you, this is the perfect program for you. And you know what? If it's not the time, it's totally okay. It's totally okay. Stay in the group, hang out. I don't want you to go just because you like it's not the right time to be in the class. It's fine. And I'll keep offering various different things, right? And like you don't like if you need them, take them. And if you don't need them, that's okay. That's okay, right? You don't have to feel guilty or like you have to buy something to stay in the group. That's not what this is about. But I do want to offer things that will help you. So I hope we understand each other. And I'm saying stay. And I'm also saying if you're ready to like make a gigantic change in your life and get like way more support than you can ever imagine, join Moving Beyond Pain. It'll change your life. It changes mine every time I go through it. So, and if you have questions about the class, ask Nancy or Rebecca. They'll be happy to answer you. Ask it publicly, ask it privately. And if you need financial help because you're stuck on disability or because the economy is insane or because you can't work, then you should probably talk to me because I'm a pretty reasonable chick. So you should talk to me. All right. I love you all so very much. Thank you for being with me through this week. You guys made this a super awesome workshop. I think this is my favorite one so far. So thank you. And keep reading your emails. If you registered, emails with more information will keep coming throughout the week. Please read them. And if you have feedback for me, I would love to hear it. If I missed something, if something was unclear, if you feel like I need to add something or do something different, please let me know. Please. Okay. And as a reminder, for Moving Beyond Pain, we meet at 6 o'clock Thursday night, Central Standard Time for those of you that were working. Cheryl Boss, I'm going to contact you, and I was going to draw one more winner because it's Friday, and who the hell doesn't want another winner on Fridays, right? So I'm spinning my name wheel. I'm spinning, it's spinning, it's spinning, it's spinning, it's spinning. Connie Matheson, you are our second winner. And you also get access to Chronic Pain Flares Roadmap. Pain Flare Roadmap, that's what I called it. That's the name of it. So I will get with Cheryl and Connie, and I will make sure that I get your emails so I can get you access, and then we'll find out whether or not that education.restoringvenus.com is working, because that'll be fun. So thanks again for being with me all week. I will pop in tomorrow at 11:30. Don't forget to do your homework so I can draw your name, one of you guys that's done it all week. Please, please, please. And that will get you $2,000 off of the $4,000 program, which is a pretty big deal, I think. I mean, I would like that. I try to give prizes I want. So there you go. Okay, this time I'm really going. Love you all.